us about you growing up in Oklahoma, born and raised down there. Tell us about the area where you grew up, your hometown. And so.
Grew up in Oklahoma City primarily. We lived out in a little town called Cordell for about 4 years, too, out in western Oklahoma.
How big a town?
About 2,000, 2,500. I think it was actually 3,000. We lived there now. It's about 2,000.
Well, okay.
It's getting smaller by the day.
Looking back, what impact does that have on you as an adult, you think, growing up in an area like that?
Oh, it's every day you draw on stuff, especially as a songwriter. You draw on stuff from, things you remember from your circumstances to your town, to your friends, to your people. Buddy and I are actually going to have a song on the next record called Small Town that talks about some of the funny things you get in small towns, like the pot-bellied sheriff and the cat lady, that lady that lives with 27 cats all by herself. And the fact that they never bothered taking those Christmas decorations down there in the county square,
Exactly.
So some of that stuff, it really kind of leaks through in everything you do.
Sure does.
Do you find living in a smaller town that you watch what you do? Because it gets around quickly if you do something bad.
Oh, I think so, yeah. You get a small community of people, and we there's actually a line in that song that says, I can't, all the church ladies wearing their flowered prints, gossiping while they get a new cream rinse. Poor Mr. Johnson never should have fooled around in a small town. That's part of the deal, too.
Yeah, it's kind of like a little network in the town.
Very much so, yeah. I think you got to be careful.
I got you. Well, a lot of people in that town were expecting you to go on into being a doctor, right?
Well, my dad was a little town, or a little doctor. He was a little town.
Yeah, he was a little town.
A little doctor in a little town. Yeah.
He was a doctor there in Cordelia, and he's been a family doctor my whole life. And his dad was the same in a little town called Edina, Missouri, of about 900 people in northeast Missouri. And so I was planning on kind of following in their footsteps. They like to take care of the grandparents and deliver the grandbabies and all that stuff. And that's something they both really love to do. And I'd seen that my whole life and kind of thought, well, that's probably what I ought to do. And then I took a sharp left and wound up here in Nashville.
Well, now, I know you studied for 2 years. What do you still remember about the workings of the human body?
Oh,
Marty
no.
can tell you something.
Wait a minute. I think she's getting at, what she's getting at is there a cure for what we've had on this show so far? That's what she's asking.
I don't know about that. I didn't get far enough along, Charlie, to be able to.
But if somebody, I don't know, breaks an ankle or has some kind of an accident, you could probably take care of them a little bit until the paramedic got there.
I can remember enough. I was an EMT, too, so I can remember enough to kind of cover some of that stuff. But it's amazing how fast you forget anything you don't use,
Well,
and that's a shame.
Well, you don't have to make excuses still about coming to Nashville and doing country music since you got the album coming out and everything, right?
Well, that's true. I guess I ought to be here. Somebody thinks I should be here.
Yeah, when the turn was made, everything went well.
Sure, everything's gone just actually fabulous since I've come to town. I was lucky enough to get a publishing deal kind of right out of the box, and so I could eat for a while until I got a record deal.
I've got to ask you a question about men, though. I noticed a song or two that you wrote on this album. You say that you wrote because they speak to your wife, things that you couldn't actually say to her.
Sure.
And I've heard a lot of men say that it's very tough for them to tell their wives or their girlfriends how they really feel. You're lucky you get to do it in a song, but maybe you guys can tell me, why is it so tough for a guy just to say, I love you, I need you, or that you're the best thing that happened in my life?
Because usually when you say that, the girl will go, yeah, right. Yeah, so you got to write them a song.
That's it.
Well, do you just get tongue-tied even with your wife?
I think they didn't teach us that in medical school, but there's something about the whole male mentality kind of nature that just doesn't want to be emotional and say the things they really feel. And that's what's nice about getting the right songs, that you can say some of those things.
It's just, I don't know, it's interesting. I've noticed this about guys.
Well, just pick up a copy of Brett James' album here and just say, honey, listen to cut number 3.
Oh, God.
What is number 3 on here anyway?
It's Worth the Fall. I'm going to do that here in a minute.
Worth the Fall.
Yeah.
And that's a great outlook on life to have, too.
I think so.
The Ride is Worth the Fall is a song I wrote kind of about some of the reasons why I bailed out of med school and came to Nashville in the first place.
Yeah. All right, partner. Well, it's good to see you again. Brett James got some great music for you later. We'll be back in a minute.